there's one thing I love to do is grabbing a warm egg on a cool morning. Let's see. Sometimes they don't roll all the way out. Oh, and you gotta stick your hand in and pull it the rest of the way. Ooh, that one's nice and warm. All right, 2 eggs so far. What I really want to talk about this morning is why do I have chickens? Why am I growing food? Why am I sprouting all manner of trees? I think there's something integral in humans that are made to do this, but also I don't have a lot of confidence in our modern industrial system. I'm seeing the pollution, the land degradation, and basically all the negative effects it's having on our environment that we depend on. And so maybe there's not going to be a huge effect in my lifetime, but sprouting trees and planting seeds and mending soil and whatever, raising animals, these are skills that our children are losing, and at a very fast rate. I can go to an elementary school up here, and kids don't know that potatoes grow in the ground. They don't know where they come from. They just appear, and they haven't thought about it. They've never dug a potato up out of the ground, or that blueberries grow on a bush, or anything like. They don't know where stuff comes from. They don't know how to grow things, and personally, I think that's really bad. And I got into this because I realized I was one of those people. The whole reason I've gotten into primitive archery and hunting and growing stuff and all the nature-based things that I've gotten into is because when I read the book Tarzan, he made a rope, and I realized I don't understand how ropes are made. He made a rope out of grass. What the heck? So when I see disturbances in the world like this Ukraine-Russia war, or this pandemic, or whatever the next thing is going to be. I heard there was another COVID outbreak in China, and they locked down millions of people in cities. And so when I hear about these sort of things, it basically is informing me that things aren't all steady. Growing up as a child, there was a lot of things that were going on I just didn't realize, until probably into my 20s. I didn't understand the gravity of these events. I remember in Turkey, when I lived in Turkey, Georgia was invaded by Russia. There was the bird flu, and all this stuff was happening around us, and I was just oblivious because I was in Turkey. I was definitely upper class, citizen. Not a citizen of Turkey, but in Turkey we were upper class, and now I'm back in the U.S. middle class. And if you're in these two classes, these things don't affect you that much. But most countries, people don't live in the upper or middle class. Majority of the population does not live in these classes. I've always been in the 1% of the world, and these issues don't affect me that much. Regardless of all that, though, the reality is it can, and it could easily affect me. History shows that it can affect the top 1% of wealthy people in the world. And so I think I'm not a huge fan of Dave Ramsey, but he has a quote where he says, "Live like no one else now so you can live like no one else later." And so how I apply that to gardening is learn these skills, produce your own food, do what you can with what you've got as far as food production, and whatever land, your backyard, or a piece of city property that you adopt. If you make a guerrilla garden, and do what you can with what you got, and learn these things, and these skills are timeless. Literally, for what has it been, 6,000 years since the agricultural revolution, when we started growing stuff intentionally, maybe longer. We really don't know. And domesticating animals, I think it's 10,000 years for chickens, something crazy. Regardless, though, the point is that these skills are timeless. They've always been with humanity, and they're not going anywhere. At the end of the day, we completely depend on agriculture. Without it, there's going to be massive die-off of human lives. And I'm somebody who loves people, and I would hate to see my neighbors starving. And so the way I look at it is, you can tell I grow a huge diversity of plants. I grow every seed I can get my hand on. I try to grow it. I've even got some date palms inside. Not suited for Florida. I may send those to my friend in California. But the idea here is that I'm trying to grow as many different things so that if a time comes, or when a time comes, where we need to scale up production, where every single one of my neighbors needs chickens and a garden, I'm here. I'm the neighbor that can help with that. And I'm going to go ahead and start planting trees all over the place. My guerrilla garden is going to be mostly perennial plants. I want to focus on that. But in the meantime, I've got it cleared. I planted a few trees already. I've got elderberry and persimmons out there. And I've got a bunch more trees I'm sprouting that are going to go out there. Pear trees and papayas and definitely citrus. So I'm taking these little abandoned corners of town and turning them into essentially food forests. That's how I'm getting prepared. And you know what? It's fun. I love doing it. And so it's not like this doom and gloom burden. Like, there is no downside to this if I enjoy it. I'm not wasting my time because it's fun. And there's only upside. A homeless person or some kids going home from school, they can stop and eat off of the trees I've planted. And I remember a time when I was in Turkey where me and my dad were out in the countryside. I was looking for snakes. I was in high school, and we came across this plum tree out in the countryside, not around anyone. Well, this was an improved type of plum that somebody had grafted and planted there. And I took and I ate the plums off of that tree. And they were the best plums in the whole world. I'm never going to have a plum that good in my life unless I go back to that tree. But they were the best in the world. And now that I think back on it, I'm like, somebody had the intention to plant that tree for me to enjoy. They weren't thinking of Timothy Rayleigh, but they knew, I'm going to plant this along this dirt road. So the shepherds, the whoever, the mechanic that's going out to work on the tractor, the farmer, whoever's out here in the season, they can come and they can feed on this tree. And that's to me, that's part of loving your neighbor. And so that's a core value that I hold. And so and that's what's motivating my food production. And so at the end of the day, all of what I'm doing is I'm trying to bring the abundance that I have, which I don't have an abundance of time, but I've got some extra time. I'm staying at home with my son, so I don't have a lot of flexible time. When he needs me, and that's that. And I get out here when I can and do what I can with what time I've got. Look at that concept. So I don't sit around and watch Netflix. I watch some educational YouTube videos, but by and large, I'm trying to be very shrewd with my time to use it in a productive way. And for me, that's literally being productive, growing food, learning about stuff. And I think as a society we would benefit if we would hugely benefit if we began to shift more towards an agricultural society. Because not only is this good for food production, so people aren't hungry, but mentally it is so healthy. Physically, it is so healthy. I get exercise. I'm bending and moving, shoveling and hoeing and whatever. And I'm hammering and taking a waste product. This whole chicken house was wood that was destined for the landfill, which blows my mind. And so it's like I can produce a $1,500 chicken house out of waste material, essentially. So these are these are my motivation for what I'm doing in my backyard. And I think it's important that you get off of whatever you're scrolling on or whatever TV show you're watching or whatever, and just go outside and just sit and think, what am I here for? What are you here for? Are you here to just consume and consume and consume content and become a zombie? Or are you here to be productive? Well, I believe we're here to be productive. The book of Genesis says, go and be productive. Okay, go reproduce, be productive. All right, cool. I've done that. I've got a son. I've reproduced. It's amazing, and I'm being productive. I'm producing food, and it's very satisfying. I believe it's what we're designed for, and I believe that is just integral to our DNA of the way we were made. So, in conclusion, think about this. What does it mean for you? Tackle the hard questions and begin to take action. You're not going to do it perfectly. I didn't. I thought my purpose in life was to tell everybody how cool snakes was, in my early 20s. Snakes are still cool. I just made a video about snakes. I like snakes, and I have a garden, and they come into my garden and they feed on lizards and whatever, and it's cool to have snakes in my garden. They're welcome here. And but that was in my infancy, and it was helpful, and it led me to other things, broader outlook on nature. Snakes were kind of my gateway, kind of like my gateway drug to the natural world and to agriculture, which is a big part of the natural world. And as I produce food in my backyard, I'm also thinking about wildlife and how do I manage this for wildlife as well, because here pollinators are getting pollination. I think is going to be an issue. I don't see a lot of pollinating insects, and so I'm looking at this and thinking, wow, we've really dropped the ball on this function in the ecosystem, and it's going to affect my plants. So I need to manage differently. I need to plant more flowers or trees. I think trees are an overlooked pollinator source. There's actually a tree back there next to my neighbor's house. It's a cherry laurel, covered in blooms. It brings in a lot of pollinating insects, which is helpful, but most of these trees around here aren't like that. So, what did I say in conclusion? I said it 5 minutes ago. In conclusion, think about it, take action, comment your ideas. I will respond with a thoughtful comment to everyone that comments. So, if you watched this far, this has obviously struck a chord with you. So, take action. Don't sit around. Delete your Netflix account. God bless.